Welcome to the punting monologue.
Here he comes, Chautauqua, boom!
With Benny Clifton.
He latches and wins!
And Sonny Munn.
That is unbelievable!
Proudly brought to you by Minbet. Make a game of it.
Can he do it? He's flying! Yes! There's history!
Yeah, there's history. Here it is now. The future is now. And the weather is turning and the horse racing is heating up, mate. How are you, Benjamin?
Oh, mate, it is hot. It's not just heating up, it is
that right?
hot. Oh, last week was a ripper.
Well, what's for you? You got you. Well, go on.
Slip a day, but the show rolls on in Sydney, and there's a pretty good card at Flemington as well.
Well, we won't hesitate though. I thought you might have been blowing your own trumpet for a bit there.
We did back a few winners, but I think the one I got most satisfaction out of was the Friday fill up on the
We will
on the
come
Friday
to that.
at
Benny's
Scone.
patting it Friday fill up, but first it's time to get to Sydney, mate. Let's strategise.
Ka-ching! It's Benny Clifton's Group 1 strategy.
And it's race 7, mate. The Vinery Stud Stakes over a couple of clicks. Your favourite's pretty short, Orchestral at about $1.60 at the time of recording. Zardozi at $4.20, $7.50 for Autumn Angel. Double figures the rest. Are we on the favourite?
Yeah, we are. I mean, this is probably not a betting race. It's more a tipping race. You got to pick between one of these two, Orchestral or Zardozi. I mean, Orchestral's doing some pretty special things over in New Zealand, and those good 3-year-olds that come over for our big races tend to measure up, and just the margin she's been winning by. Atrium Coast came over and won in Australia last week. The prices she's been starting, $1.50 2 starts back, $1.30 last start in the New Zealand Derby, and completely destroyed them. She's pretty special, Orchestral. J-Mac takes the ride. So it probably wins, but I do have a lot of respect for Zardozi, the Australian filly that really accelerated well in the far lap last start, and will only improve up in trip. She's a good filly and a worthy challenger to the favourite. But as far as tipping goes, I've got to tip the favourite, Orchestral.
Well, you don't have to, but you did. That's fine, mate. 2-horse race and you're on the short one. Let's go to race 8, the Tancred Stakes over 2,400. Your favourite is Post-Impressionist. For the French art fans at the turn of the century, Buckaroo is at $5, 7 for Tom Kitten, and 8 for Ash Run. Are we on Post-Impressionist?
No, we're not. When I rated the race last week, the Post-Impressionist won, it rated really well, and I was thinking, I want to be with this next week in the Tancred, but then I looked deeper into it, and they went hard in that race and ran a really quick time. You sort of want a softer run when you're going to back up the next week. And
okay.
So that turned me off a little bit, goes up 4.5 kilos in weight. And I just thought there were enough negatives there to avoid it, particularly at that price that you quoted. So I'm with Buckaroo. So It ran on the same day last week, but it was much softer run race. So the early tempo was slow. It ran home well. It was probably in the inferior ground on the inside. So I thought that was a really good hit out to then back up into this race this week, and all its form's been a wait for age, so I think it finally finds a winnable race, and so I'm happy to back Buckaroo in this race against the favourite.
Buckaroo to get it done. Just a reminder out there to imagine what you could be buying instead as we go into race 8 at Flemington now, HQ, mate, and it's the Australia Cup. Beautiful stuff. 2,000 metres here. Mr. Brightside is 240. That's your favourite. It's battling it out with Pride of Jenny right now at 290. A tissue for the sneezels out there. It is the season at 650. 850 for Cascadian, and double figures the rest.
Yeah, I mean this is just hot, this race. So, I mean there's plenty of ways you could look at it. So Pride of Jenny will go out hard. I mean, it went out hard last start in the All-Star Mile, and Mr. Brightside probably just lost sight of the lure, as they say, couldn't run it down. But they're going to go hard again. Mr. Brightside probably sit a little bit closer, and I don't necessarily think that'll suit it. I think it's a real query at this trip. I mean, it did run second in a Cox Plate, but that was one of the worst rating Cox Plates in a long time. So I think he's vulnerable at that price, Mr. Brightside. He's had a grand final already. Has he got any improvement left? I'm not sure. Pride of Jenny, a chance, but once again, I think the 2,000 metres is a test. She hasn't been proven it, and she goes very hard out in front. So She's got to be a query. So I went looking for a horse who won this race last year, Cascading. I thought he was really good last start in the All-Star Mile. Didn't finish far behind Mr. Bright. So I just think he'll be looking for the 2,000 metres than the two favourites in the race. Obviously goes well at Flemington, and I think the tempo of the race will suit. And I'd rather back him at that price than dive into one of those favourites who have genuine queries at the trip, in my opinion.
Yeah, a bit of value, and you can double your money each way there if you fancy it. Just have a think about what gambling is really costing you and set yourself a deposit limit. All right, mate, let's get that shoe in, that lock of the week.
It's Benny's best bet.
Yes, and for your best, mate, we're going to Sydney. We're going to race 3, the Highland Colours.
We did get the best. Did the best bet get up last week?
You sure did, mate. One of 4 that got up last week. Not that anyone's counting. He has reminded me several times off camera. No, got up, mate, as per. So what is it this week, mate? Our favourite here is Linebacker at 190, and it looks a bit like a race in 2 because there's a node at 380, then it sort of starts to drift.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually a race in 1. This Linebacker, I mean, all the best 2-year-olds went around the Golden Slipper, or perceived best 2-year-olds went around the Golden Slipper last week, but I think this horse is as good as any of them. What it did at Hawkesbury on the clock was unbelievable. Started $2.30 on that occasion, had a little break, month off, and then trialled up at Rosehill and absolutely went like a rocket. This horse is a Group 1 horse. They're just working its way through the grades. Barrier 1 should jump straight to the front. They won't see which way it went. $1.90. You'd love to get a little bit of a better price, but on these good horses, you'd rather be backing a good horse like this on the up at $1.90 than trying to scrounge around in a maiden at $1.90. So Linebacker for me, he's a Group 1 horse, and he'll prove it on Saturday.
Linebacker is Benny's shoe-in of the week. There you go. Managed to get that up without anyone noticing. Hey, mate, bit of a stocking filler by the sounds of it, that one. Bit of a multi-filler for those over Easter. But I want a bit of value off you this week. So you've told me to go to race 4 at Rosehill. I'll run through this market and you can tell me what's going to do it for you. Y market 330, 440 for Kintyre. They're too short for my liking. Saltcoats at 650. Fists of Fury at 11, but you've told me High Dandy at about $15 and $4 the place is worth talking about.
Yeah, I mean, let's just start with the favourite Y mark. It's obviously working through its grades. I don't have it rating as well as maybe what the market does at the moment. It has been winning by margin, so maybe it does have a little bit more improvement in it. I think it probably has a little bit of a sticky map from barrier 10. They'll probably have to... they might even decide to try and go for the lead, given they're drawn out there wide. But the horse I want to be with, as you mentioned, is High Dandy. First up at Kembla Grange, they put the blinkers on. It was $4 into $3.20, so I was obviously expected to run well and just bungled the start horribly. Missed it by 3 or 4 lengths. Still ran home well. Then went to Wyong and jumped well straight to the front, won easily and broke the clock on my database. So I think this is a horse on the up. Hitting the race at the right time. Where a few of these, they're a little bit exposed. We've seen what they can do. They've found their level. We know what their level is. But a horse like High Dandy, particularly at those each way odds, from barrier 4, where it's going to settle, in the first 2 or 3, get a nice run. I'd rather back that than dive into any of the favourites. So High Dandy each way for me.
Yeah. Well, the last time I was at Rosehill, I actually met a High Dandy in the Dunnies. So it could be a bit of an omen, mate.
I don't know what that is.
No, you don't need to. Just with that price, have a think about what you are really gambling with and set yourself a deposit limit. Now, we stay at Rosehill. Let's go to race 9, the penultimate, the Doncaster Prelude. Mate, this one's a short favourite. Another will at 190, and then I'm not going to bother reading the rest out.
Don't bother. Do not bother.
You'd need a bloody abacus.
Don't be scared away by the size of this field. This $1.90 is an absolute treat for another will. And
would you say it's one of Benny's shoe-ins of the week?
Yeah, the second shoe. Have you got 2 shoes, or did you just find one?
No, I found one, mate.
I do like to wrap horse. I like to be measured when wrapping up horses and predicting whether they're going to be Group 1 horses.
Yeah.
But
sorry, mate. Sorry, I drifted off for a second.
This horse will be in the top 2 or 3 horses in Australia by the end of the year. He is a genuine star. And
wow.
They are... Well, first of all, back it for this race on Saturday.
Okay.
Second of all, it has to win this race to get in the Doncaster next week. So back in the Doncaster, it's about $8 or $9.
Crikey.
I think it'll win on Saturday, and it'll be a $2.50 shot in the Doncaster, and
Wow, you heard it here
awfully
first.
hard to beat. So another Will working through the grades, and you just have to look at the margins to win by the times it's running. I only got 53 kilos here. Jamie Carr pops them out of the gates really well, and they might even take it to the front to make a good thing of it. So another Will for me, as you said, a shoe-in.
Absolute shoe-in. Another Will gets the chocolates, and you know what's going to get the chocolates this week, mate?
Strap yourself in, punters. It's time for the Punting Monologue Quaddie. Proudly brought to you by Mintbet. Make a game of it.
Now, obviously, we don't have a great success rate here, but I had a bit of a word with you last week about the fact that you basically spewed out a lottery machine and put as many numbers in as you can. This week you've come back and it is threadbare selections.
Yeah, I think that just sums up the nature of the markets this week. They're pretty thin races at the top, and I think we can sort of go thin in most of them and hopefully get a collect for a bigger percentage.
I love it. Hit me.
All right, race 7. All we need is Orchestral and Zardozi. I can't see any of the others troubling them.
Tick.
Race 8, we got number 1 Buckaroo and number 5 Post Impressionist. That should see us through to the third leg, where we have number 17, Another Will.
That's
it
already
will
won.
be winning.
Get on it next week as well while you can.
And yes,
I heard
in
it
the
from a good
Doncaster.
source.
And then pretty thin in race 10, we've got number 3, I Know a Star, number 13, Erasers, and number 15, Willa I Do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Just imagine what you could be buying instead before you go and put the house on that, because we haven't had a good success rate. Here's something we have been very successful at.
Friday filler.
Ka-ching, ka-ching. You are 6 of 7 in the last couple of months here, mate. We're looking to go 7 of 8. I mean, I don't want to be the bloke who does the negative moz here or anything, but you're due a loss. So maybe just to make me feel human, if you could have less confidence. Your thing just romped it in again last Friday.
I enjoyed that win too because
you did. Like a hot knife through butter.
She got into a
Absolutely.
little bit of trouble and it didn't jump all that well. We're talking about
Zero panic,
Forbes
though.
out at Scone. Zero panic. She did hunt it up a little bit, ended up behind the leaders, then couldn't get a run, and then it sort of just towed her through the field and ended up winning. So
Yeah, never in doubt, mate.
definitely roared that one home.
Absolutely. What are we roaring home this Friday, mate?
War Machine. So we go to
Oof.
Cranbourne race 4, number 1.
Okay.
As we go to air, the prices aren't out, but I'd be looking for $2.50 plus about this horse. That win at Kyneton was good. It was in a 3-year-old maiden. Those 3-year-old maidens are generally stronger than just sort of the open age maidens. $6 on that occasion. Had a nice run in behind him. Finished off well. Beat a horse called Driftnet, who was heavily backed last Saturday before it was a late scratching. I think it'll improve off that. Barrier 4 again should get a nice run in behind him where it looks a nice little tempo, and this is a horse with a little bit of scope, and I think it can win. So War Machine for me at Cranbourne.
Price is not out. Should be favourite.
Yeah, it should be favourite. Yep.
Okay, no dramas. Let me give you a wrap up here, folks. We've got a pretty big big bloody day. It's such a big day that it's skipped the alphabet and gone to a big bay. It's a big day on Saturday. Rosehill, mate. We're going to go to Sydney for the High Dandies. We've got race 3, number 6, Linebacker. That's your best. That's your shoe-in. Race 4, number 11 is High Dandy. You can have a bit each way there. It's some pretty juicy numbers. Race 9, number 17, Another Will. It wins this week. It's a chance to win next week.
No, if it wins this week, it will win next week.
Holy dooly, I don't like when you stare me right in the eyes.
Take the $8 or $9
that
now for the
1,000-yard
Doncaster.
stare that you only get when you've killed a man with your thumbs. The Group 1 plays, mate. Rosehill, race 7. We've got the Toppy Orchestral. We're on the Toppy in the next as well, Buckaroo. And then we go to number 2 in race 8, Cascadian. Let me run through your quaddie numbers because this week I can actually do it without getting too tongue-tied. Race 7, numbers 1 and 2. Race 8, number 1 and 5. Race 9, number 17. If it wins this week, it will win next week. Race 10, numbers 3, 13 and 15. That is all she wrote. Do have a think about what gambling is really costing you. Set yourself a deposit limit. I don't want to be preachy, but I'm preaching you that. So, Benny, until next week, good luck with it this weekend and good luck to punters. Enjoy yourself.
Good luck, punters. Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you, mate.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another cracking episode of the Punting Monologue. Proudly brought to you by Mintbet. Make a game of it. Be sure to check us out on socials and head over to mintsports.com.au for the freshest entertainment in sports.
Think, is this a bet you really want to place?
For free and confidential support, call the number or visit the website.